Hello my dear students, today I'm going to show you how to simplify and express several radicals as a single radical. First of all, I would like to start teaching you how to extract factors from the radicand. Remember that when we've got a radical is just a power with a rational exponent. In this case is the cube root, so the exponent is 1/3. So if we apply power of power, the property power of power, we've got the power 3 times 1/3 is 5/3, and if we express this 5/3 as a mixed number, we've got that this is 1 plus 2/3, which is a times a raised to 2/3, which is a and the cube root of a square. Okay, that's it, the explanation, but we don't do that in practice. What we do in practice is, let me clean it up, is just divide 5 by 3, and then we know that there is one root of 3 that it goes out of the root, and then we leave 2 into the root. So it's like taking groups. This 5, we take a group of 3 out, and then we leave 2 into the radical. Okay, so now please try to do it. This one is working time for you, so stop the video and try to do it. Did you do it? Alright, let's try. How many groups of 5 you've got? You've got 2. Alright, so you've got a square, and this is 5th root of a square. Okay, now let's see how to introduce factors into the radicand. It's just the opposite. When we've got a factor out of the radicand and we want to introduce it into the radical, we just need to, we've got a cube root, to introduce this factor 3 into the cube root, we just need to raise 3 to the 3rd power, and then we'll get the factor into the radical. What happens when we've got a number with a power, so for example with an exponent? In this case, if we want to introduce 2 squared to the 5th power into the root, we've got into the 5th root, this is 5th root, you know that this is 2 raised to 11. Okay, so now that you know how to extract and introduce factor into radical, now let's move to how to simplify a radical into a single radical. Okay, so let me adjust that a little bit. Okay, in practice we know that first of all we are going to do it theoretically and then in practice. We know that this first radical, this first root, means that we've got something raised to 1/2, but this one, okay, the yellow one, is a raised to 1/2 as well. So finally we've got a raised to 1/4, which is 4th root of a. So if you think a little bit, we've got square, we just multiply the number and then we've got the single radical. So in practice we don't do that. What we do is just multiply the index of the several roots, and then we've got a new root which indices the multiplication of the previous one, and then we've got that. Okay, so now is your turn, and I want you to simplify this into a single radical. Okay, did you do it? Simple. If you 3 times 4 is 12 times 2 is 24. 24th root of 5. Okay, so easy. Now let's move into something a little bit more complicated. Now let's see how to simplify radicals and express as a single radical when we've got a little bit more difficult expression. So, for example, in this case we can introduce everything into the first one and then simplify the radicals. Let's do it step by step. So let me clean it up, and then okay, if we've got cube root, and then we got also a cube root, we can introduce this into the next one, and then we've got a cube times 2a cube root of 2a. Now these two, we know that this 9, but anyway, 3 cube root, sorry, excuse me, I'm going to do it a little bit better. Okay, so this is cube root, and this is 2a to the 4th cube root of 2a. Now you can introduce this into the last one, and then we've got cube root and cube root of 2a to the 4th raised to 3 times 2a, which is equal to, I'm going to simplify the radicals now. We've got 3 times 3 times 3 is 3 cubed, which is 27, and this one is 2 cube a 12 2a, which is equal to 27th root of 2 to the 4th times a raised to 13. Okay, now I want you to practice with this one. Okay, so stop the video and try to do it by yourself. Okay, did you do it? I'm going to try to solve it now. Okay, first of all I'm going to introduce a half into the next root. All of them are a square root, so you don't need to write index number 2, but just in case, 1/2 squared times 1/3, and then we've got the square root of a. You know that this is cube root, square root, and then we've got 1/2 raised to 4 times 1/3 square times a, which we can simplify as 2 cubed is 8, the 8th root of 2, this is a, because 1 times 1 times a is a, this is 2 to the 4th times 3 square. So that's all.